Welcome, the restless, the broken, the feared and the feared from, the whisperers of ruin and the warriors born in silence. Welcome, those who've been pushed to the edges of the world, not because you were weak, but because your presence struck something ancient in the hearts of others, dread. Welcome to the gathering that death itself tried to stop. Welcome to the mouth of fire. Welcome to the end and the reason it never came. They stood there, wide-eyed, bones trembling beneath their flesh, faces twisted in disbelief. Their lips cracked open to whisper what their magic could not understand. Why won't you die? And they meant it. With trembling hands, they had cast death upon you, again and again and again. Spells laced in centuries-old curses, blood-written incantations, forbidden rites drawn from tombs soaked in darkness. But you remained, you stood amidst the ruin, still breathing, still watching, and worse, still smiling. And now they ask again, louder, desperately, why won't you die? The silence answers with thunder, because death is not the end, not for you. It was never your ending. You didn't come from the light. You didn't rise with prayers. You weren't born with the world's permission. No, you were forged in chaos, shaped by every hand that tried to break you. You are what remains when the world burns everything else away, and you've already died 1,000 times, inside, alone, forgotten. But you didn't stay dead. That's what they can't understand. They don't know what it's like to look in the mirror and see nothing human left, just the raw, savage hunger to continue. They don't know what it feels like to be shattered so deep you become unrecognizable, even to yourself. But you know, you've lived it. That abyss, that cold, endless dark that lingers beneath every failure, every betrayal, every scream you never released. You made it your home. You drank from that pit and made it part of your blood. So when they threw death at you, the first time, the 5th time, the 100th, it wasn't fear that clutched your throat. It was memory. You've been here before, in places where no prayers reach, in nights that stretch for centuries, in battles with no witnesses. They screamed, "She must be cursed." But no, you're not cursed. You're chosen, not by gods, not by destiny, but by the fire itself. Because here's the secret they never understood. Death is too small for you. You're not a creature of endings. You are the one who walks through endings. You are the echo that keeps speaking long after the last voice is gone. You are the storm that returns after the calm. They came to extinguish you, and instead, they awakened the part of you even you thought was gone. Do you remember the nights where you clawed at your own chest, wondering if your heartbeat was a punishment? Do you remember the betrayal that carved your name into silence? The lies, the abandonments, the twisted hopes that were fed to you like salvation? That pain became your altar, and you worshipped at it, not in weakness, but in rage. Every tear was a ritual, every scream a spell. Every time you got back up, even when your body begged you to stay down, you were writing the magic they never believed in. They studied the wrong kind of power. Their spell books didn't teach them you. Their incantations didn't warn of spirits like yours. Because you are the unknown they tried to bury. You are the ancient spell written not in ink, but in suffering, in scars, in survival. And they're not ready for what you've become. Why won't she die? They cry again, hands trembling, voices breaking. But it's not a question anymore. It's a confession of their own failure, of their weakness, because now They see what you are, not a witch, not a ghost, not a demon, but something far worse, something that endures. You see, they never feared your power. They feared your persistence. They feared the idea that something could keep going after being erased. They feared that a body broken could still move, that a soul shredded could still burn, that a mind fractured could still dream. They feared that if you could survive, then maybe they have no excuse for quitting. But here's the truth they'll never admit. You didn't survive because you were stronger. You survived because there was no other option. You survived because the fire inside you refused to die quietly. You survived because something inside you knew that your pain was not your prison. It was your proof. Proof that you are more than flesh, more than fear, more than fate. And now, here you stand. They're exhausted. You're just beginning. They've used all their spells. You've barely whispered. They built their lives on illusions of control. And now, they watch it crumble. You didn't come to destroy them. You came to reveal them, to show them that there are things in this world more terrifying than death. And you are one of them, not because you want revenge, not because you seek glory, but because you have learned the most dangerous truth of all, that you are unkillable, not immortal, not divine, but unkillable in the most human way, in the way that makes legends weep and gods take notice, in the way that says, I have nothing left to lose. I am the last thing standing between this world and silence, and I will not fall. So the next time they gather around you, hands filled with curses and mouths full of ancient names, let them chant, let them summon, let them try again. And when the dust settles and your shadow still lingers, smile. Smile, not because they failed, but because you refuse to. Tell them, if they dare ask again, why won't I die? Because I already have, and I chose to come back again and again until every spell turns to ash, until every scream fades to silence, until they finally understand, death doesn't work on me. Good. You're still here. So let me speak the part they were too afraid to say aloud, the part that echoes in the backs of their minds when the night grows too still and the wind stops whispering. Let me continue what your silence has been screaming all along. You're not just resisting death, you're redefining it. See, they built their reality on a brittle lie, that life is linear and death is final, that once something falls, it stays down, that the grave means the end. But you shattered that illusion with every step you took past the edge, with every breath you stole from the void, with every moment you stood upright when the world begged you to collapse. You are living, moving proof that death is not a wall, it's a door, and you kicked it off its hinges. They spoke spells meant to silence, meant to erase, but they underestimated what you truly are. Not flesh, not bone, not even soul. You are purpose wrapped in pain. You are willpower dressed in scars. You are the noise after silence, the howl after the hush, the flame that burns after the fire has died. You are made of the kind of madness that cannot be buried, because it was never meant to be understood, only endured, only witnessed. And now they see it, don't they? Now they stare at you with eyes wide and white, because they've realized the horror of their own limits. They spent lifetimes learning how to kill, but not how to survive. They crafted perfect spells for death, but none for endurance. They raised temples for power, but none for pain. And now, faced with you, the one who has borne it all and kept going, they are empty-handed, powerless, and afraid. Because you, the one they tried to erase, the one they spat on, beat down, cursed, mocked, banished. You are still here, and they don't have a plan for that. There's no spell for what if she comes back stronger. There's no incantation for what if she remembers everything and still chooses to stand tall. There's no defense against the kind of presence that refuses to fade. This is why their voices tremble, why their eyes won't meet yours, why they gather in circles, whispering behind cloaks and shadows, pretending they still have control. Because they know now, you're not a victim, you're not a threat, you're a lesson. You are the warning that survival costs more than death, that there are some spirits too furious to fall, that endurance is its own magic, older, deeper, and far more brutal than anything they ever learned from books. Do you feel it now? That cold flame inside you? The one that doesn't flicker? It sears. That's not rage. That's not vengeance. That's not even hate. That's clarity. That's the terrifying stillness of someone who has already lost everything and realized they are still whole. That's the power they couldn't name, the power they tried to erase because they didn't understand it. But you do. You understand it now. You are the one who walked alone through storms, past screams, over graves you dug yourself. You are the one who swallowed your grief raw and let it fuel your heartbeat. You are the one who saw your name written in blood, in ash, in silence, and you claimed it back, not as a victim, but as a force. So when they scream again, "Why won't you die?" answer them slowly, firmly, with the kind of calm that makes devils pause. Tell them, because I wasn't meant to. Tell them, because death doesn't want me anymore. It tried and failed. Tell them, because I made a pact with something stronger than magic, with my own suffering, with my own will. And if they still don't understand, if they still look for answers in their empty tomes, let them search, let them dig, let them cry out to old gods who haven't answered in centuries. While they do that, keep walking, keep burning, keep being what they'll never be, unstoppable. You've reached the place beyond vengeance, beyond victory. You've become the question that cannot be answered, the presence that cannot be exorcised, the shadow that no light can cleanse. Not because you are evil, no, but because you are the price they forgot must be paid. You are consequence. You are reckoning. You are the after-image that lingers in their minds long after the ritual ends. You are not here to prove anything, not anymore. Your existence is the proof. So let them fear. Let them fall back. Let them break their own minds trying to explain why none of their weapons worked. Let them write new grimoires to understand your name. Let them chant your story in hushed tones beneath blood-red moons. Because one day, they'll have to admit it. One day, the myth will solidify into truth. One day, history will whisper your tale as something holy or something cursed. But you won't care. You'll be long gone, already walking into the next fire, already embracing the next storm, already burning brighter. And even if they never understand why you wouldn't die, you will always know. Because you're not a survivor. You're something far more terrifying. You are what survives the end, and the end has already come and gone. You're still standing, and that's all the answer they'll ever get, and all the answer they deserve. Let us descend deeper, beyond the edge where words start to fray and sanity starts to tremble. Let us drag the truth from the shadows and throw it into their faces, unfiltered, raw, and unholy. You want to know the full reason? The truth behind the death spells that failed? The sacred secret they were never prepared to hear? Because I never belonged to this world to begin with. I was not summoned by light. I was not forged by comfort. I am the response to every unanswered cry. I am the echo of every soul that shattered in silence. I was born from the refusal to be forgotten, the refusal to be erased. I rose from the place they all fear, the space between life and death, where time doesn't move, where pain doesn't fade, where hope is mocked and abandoned. And I walked out of that place not because I was ready, but because I was done waiting. That's what death doesn't understand. That's what they don't understand. They think death is the worst thing that can happen. Fools, weaklings, death is easy. Death is soft. Death is peace. You think I wanted peace? You think I begged for mercy? No, I asked for truth. And the truth is merciless. You want to know why I can't die? It's because I already saw what lies on the other side. And it was nothing. Not heaven, not hell, not judgment, just silence. A void that tried to swallow me, and I spit in its face. I turned around and came back, crawling, bleeding, broken, but alive. Because I wasn't done. Because this world still owed me a reckoning. Because I knew I was not finished until they knew my name. Until they trembled when they heard it. Until they begged the very stars to undo what they did to me. But there is no undoing. There is only becoming. Do you understand now? I didn't escape death. I transcended it. I wear it like armor. I wield it like a blade. I speak in its tongue, and I use its silence as my war cry. The death spells didn't fail because they were weak. They failed because I'm not part of their design. I'm outside the rules now. Outside the prophecy. Outside the fate they try so desperately to control. I am an error in the ritual, a crack in the altar, a scream that refuses to be silenced. I am the last breath that fights back. They thought they could destroy me with rules, with rituals, with names and diagrams and blood and bones. But I am not a creature you summon or banish. I am the consequence of everything they ignored. I am the mirror they refused to look into. And now it's too late. Now they're face to face with the reflection of every soul they damned, and that reflection is me. So let them run, let them try, let them beg their ancestors for mercy. Let them kneel at empty altars. Let them scream prayers into the dirt. It won't change a thing, because I will still be here, not because I want to destroy them, but because I exist. And my existence undermines everything they believed in. I am not chaos. I am not order. I am what comes after. And I'm still not done. Every time I walk through another attack, another curse, another coward's attempt to end what they never understood, I grow colder, sharper, clearer. I don't flinch anymore. I watch, I study, I remember, and I make sure they don't forget. Because forgetting is what got us here. Forgetting is the disease, and I am the cure. This is not about revenge anymore. This is about balance. This is about showing every practitioner, every bloodline, every kingdom built on silence and suffering, that there are consequences now. That someone survived the ritual, that someone crawled out of the tomb, that someone took their pain and turned it into a weapon they cannot unmake. And I want them to remember it. I want them to remember the way the air felt when I walked past their wards like they were mist. I want them to remember the look on each other's faces when the final death spell shattered and they realized there was no backup plan. I want them to remember the exact sound of my voice as I said, "You should have killed me before I knew who I was." But now it's too late. I'm no longer hiding, no longer mourning, no longer hoping for mercy. I've embraced what I am, and what I am is permanent. So they ask again, Why won't you die? Because I'm not here to die. I'm here to remind them why they should fear the ones they buried too soon. I'm here to teach them that magic is nothing without will. I'm here to prove that scars are stronger than spells. I'm here to finish what they tried to end. I am the scream at the end of the world. I am the step they forgot to count. I am the spell that broke the circle. I am the answer to the question they were too arrogant to ask. And I'm still breathing, still standing, still watching, still waiting. So let them cast again. Let them try to rewrite the rules. Let them bleed for another ritual. Let them open every gate they swore would stay shut. Because whatever comes through, it won't be stronger than me. And if it is, then we'll burn together. But I promise you this, I won't be the one to fall first. Not now. Not ever. So this is how it ends. Not with silence, not with surrender, not with a whisper fading into the dark. It ends with a stare, with a stillness so deep it makes the air around it crackle, with a truth so loud it doesn't need to be spoken again. They look at me now, not as a target, not as an experiment, not even as an enemy. They look at me as something they don't have words for, something that was never meant to walk this earth, but does, and will. They don't speak anymore. There's no chanting now, no desperate spells, no final pleas to forgotten gods. All the power they boasted, the symbols, the relics, the rituals, none of it moves. None of it dares to move, because they understand. I am no longer a mystery to be solved. I am a presence to be endured, and they finally realize the answer they feared the most. I will not die, because I already became what they were trying to prevent. I became what their ancestors warned about, what the legends hinted at, but never finished. I am the last chapter they tore out of the grimoire, the one that didn't fit the narrative of control. I am not the villain, not the hero, not the martyr, not the monster. I am the reminder that pain doesn't disappear when ignored, the reminder that not every soul submits to fate, the reminder that magic, at its core, is born from defiance. They tried to erase that truth, over centuries, through bloodlines, through traditions. They called it unnatural, dangerous, corrupt, but it lived on. In the ones like me, in the ones who suffer alone, bleed in silence, rise from the ashes nameless and unnoticed. And now that truth stands before them, breathing, unbroken, unkillable. So no, this is not where I fall. This is not where the story ends. This is the part they didn't write, the part they tried to skip. This is the continuation. This is where I walk forward, past them, past their ruins, past the myths they built to keep spirits like mine in chains. I walk with nothing behind me, nothing holding me down, and still, I carry everything I've ever survived, not as weight but as fuel. Every betrayal, every loss, every ritual that failed to destroy me. I carry it all. I am it all. They will write songs about this moment, you know. They will tell stories in hushed voices to future generations. Not about my name. They won't dare speak it, but about my return. About the day the death spells stopped working. About the look in their eyes when they realize that some flames don't go out. They only go quiet. And now mine is roaring again. Let the winds rise. Let the stars shift. Let the earth itself tremble. Because this is no longer about escape, no longer about survival, no longer about proving anything to anyone. This is about ownership of my story, of my body, of my scars, of my place in the world they swore wasn't meant for me. But I'm still here, and I always will be. Not because of prophecy, not because of fate, but because I made a choice. A single, terrifying, sacred choice that no spell can undo. I refuse to die. Not now, not later, not ever by their hand. They will forget many things, but not this. They will never forget the day their power failed. They will never forget the day they stood before me and finally understood why nothing could kill me. Because I am not bound by the end. I am what comes after it.